Boys, today we are back, and in today's video I am going to be talking about the Asu Almabayev injury and the Brandon Moreno versus Lonnie Kavanagh fight that is coming up in 2 weeks. Now, I wanted to make this video. I wasn't going to make anything about this, but I wanted to make this video because a lot of people were saying that, Lonnie Kavanagh stepping up to fight Brandon Moreno was crazy. But in my opinion, this is a good replacement. And I'm going to go down the entire flyweight rankings and explain my reasoning. But Brandon Moreno versus Lonnie Kavanagh, of course, Asu Almabayev is staying on the card. He's higher ranked. He's got a lot of good UFC wins. He's coming off wins. So Asu Almabayev versus Brandon Moreno would have been, the good fight if he didn't get injured. As you can see, he suffered a hand injury right before going out to Mexico. So that sucks. Get well soon to Almabayev. But I think Lonnie Kavanagh is a great fight. He's an up-and-coming prospect. Let's just go here. He's stepping in. He's officially stepping in. And I know it looks crazy because he is ranked 15th and Moreno is 5th. But I think this is a great fight. Lonnie Kavanagh, great up-and-coming prospect. He's very exciting, good boxing, good takedown defense, very slick on the feet. So I think this is actually going to be a banger fight. Now, I do think Moreno will win. I think he'll win a decision like 49-46, maybe a 48-47. I genuinely think Kavanagh is slick on the feet, and Moreno, he's always tucked up in that fucking boxing stance like this. Motherfucker just... He gets hit with a shot, he goes... So, I think it'll be a good fight. I do think Moreno will win, but I think this is an absolute banger. Lonnie Kavanagh, he's a young guy, and yes, one of the criticisms, no editing. I think that's a word, so I'm going to use it. One of, why, people are criticizing this fight is because Lonnie Kavanagh, obviously, he's coming off a loss. Yes, he's ranked 15th in the rankings, but he is coming off a knockout loss, a pretty bad knockout loss, but if you go back and rewatch that fight, Lonnie Kavanagh versus Charles Johnson, Lonnie Kavanagh was winning the fight. He was literally winning the first round, and he was winning the second round up until he got knocked out. And he was genuinely piecing up Charles Johnson. He was looking really, really fucking good. I'm not going to lie. He was looking great on the feet. Charles Johnson was lost in there. Pretty sure if I can remember correctly, Lonnie Kavanagh did rock him on the feet at one point. But he was looking amazing, and Charles Johnson had nothing for him. Lonnie Kavanagh was looking great. I'm pretty sure he cut Johnson open. If I can remember, I think there was blood in that fight. Can't remember exactly, but and he was undefeated. Lonnie Kavanagh was an undefeated prospect going up against Charles Johnson, who Charles Johnson has a ton of experience. He has a ton of UFC fights. He knocked out Josh Van, so hey, knocking out Josh Van's impressive. So he knocked out Josh Van. And he looked like he was going to get slapped by Kavanagh. Johnson pressured him up against the fence. I'm pretty sure it was either a right hook or a left hook. Dropped Kavanagh bad and then actually flatlined him out cold with ground and pound. So it was a bad loss, don't get me wrong. But if you go back and rewatch the fight, Kavanagh was doing really good. I'm not going to lie. He was doing great. Looked like he was on his way to winning a decision, but just got caught. And so shit happens. You see Josh Van got caught by Charles Johnson, came back, went on a long win streak, and is now champ. To be fair, he did fluke it over Pantoja. We are Pantoja Army over here. But, Lonnie Kavanagh, if he didn't lose that fight to Charles Johnson, which he wasn't, losing, he would be undefeated. And, maybe they would have made this fight, if Kavanagh won, and he probably would have been 12th, 11th, 10th in the rankings, they could have made this fight. So I'm not mad at this at all. Obviously, Almabayev versus Moreno would have been better if he didn't get injured, but I'm not mad at this booking. I see a lot of people, mad in the comments. Just to look at some comments. It was a perfect opportunity to bring Makayev back. All right, we're not going to look at that. Moreno versus who? Let's see what this is. People are crapping on it, bro. Nobody asked for this. From 15th ranked to main event headliner, Lonnie title run is on. Who? Question mark. People are shitting on the fight, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's an absolute banger. So, but I want to take a look at the flyweight rankings, and in my opinion, this makes sense. All right, this genuinely makes sense for Brandon Moreno to fight Lonnie Kavanagh when you go down and look in the rankings. Obviously, Moreno's not going to fight anyone above him, as he just got beat by Tyra. When was that? When did Tyra beat Moreno? That was UFC 323, the Merab versus Jan card. So he had just lost by TKO. Obviously, he's not going to fight Pantoja. He's not ready. Kopp and Tyra They just came off huge wins. They're not going to go fight down in the rankings. Brandon Royval, they've already fought twice. I know Royval did put his name in the hat, but he did just get flatline knocked out in December. So that probably wouldn't have worked well. And we've already seen the fight twice. And Brandon Moreno is coming off a knockout loss, and he's going to fight someone higher than him. Horiguchi was a good option. Now, you guys know I'm not high on Horiguchi. I think he's overrated as shit. I think his style is boring. I just don't see him as I don't see him as a player in this flyweight division like a lot of other people do. You know, I'm not high on him. I'm not really a big fan of him. His post-fight interviews are great. Like, I think the guy's personality is amazing, but fight style I'm not a big fan of. But that would have been a good fight. But Horiguchi did say that he wanted to still fight Amir Albazi, then fight Moreno, which that genuinely makes zero sense to me. Winning a fight against Brandon Moreno in Mexico would have done way more than beating Amir Albazi in the Apex. So Horiguchi, not sure what the fucking thought process was there. I don't know if your fucking manager told you to say that or whatever, but someone on your team is genuinely hoping for your downfall after that decision. So Horiguchi said he didn't want to fight Moreno because he wanted to fight Albazi still, which, I mean, I guess he thought he could beat Albazi easily and just get a free win. And Moreno obviously would have been a harder fight, but I'm not really sure what the thought process was behind that. But Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi, let's just keep going down the list. They already fought. They fought in November of last year, I'm pretty sure, and Moreno pieced him up for 5 rounds. Astro Mabayev obviously was his opponent, but he got hurt. Tim Elliott, I mean, I could see them doing that, but I mean, Tim Elliott's not really that big of a name. He's been in the UFC forever. I'm okay with them not putting Tim Elliott in there. Alex Perez was also a name, but he did have a fight. Who did he fight recently? Alex Perez just had a fight. Who did Alex Perez just fight? Who the fuck did Alex Perez just fight? He fought Charles Johnson, and he beat Charles Johnson. So Alex Perez had a fight. Steve Erceg, we've already seen Moreno versus Erceg, and Moreno pieced him up for 5 rounds again. Tagir Ulanbekov just got, brutally finished by Tyra. Charles Johnson was a name I thought they might go with, but he just also got knocked out this year. So I don't know. He just got knocked out by Perez in January. So making that quick of a turnaround a month later after just getting flatlined doesn't make sense. Bruno Silva could have been a name, but I think, and then you have Lonnie Kavanagh. So I'm perfectly fine with this short notice replacement. I'm so fine. Once you look at the flyweight rankings, this makes perfect sense. This makes absolutely perfect sense. I think this is great, matchmaking by the UFC. And I know people are shitting on it, but you got to remember it's a short notice, late replacement. And I think Lonnie Kavanagh's the guy. He's had a lot of time since that knockout loss. It was in August. Lonnie Kavanagh got knocked out in August, so he's had enough time off. He's an up-and-coming star. He's a great prospect, slick on the feet. So I love this. I love the fight. I don't know why people are shitting on it. We just went down the entire UFC flyweight rankings, and we showed that this fight, does make a lot of sense. Obviously, I would have liked to see Almabayev versus Moreno. Maybe that would have been fun scrambles. Moreno would shuck off the takedowns and piece him up on the feet. But I also think this will be a good fight on the feet. I think Lonnie Kavanagh will bring it. I think he'll try to pressure Moreno. I think this is going to be a banger fight. I'm really happy with the matchmaking from the UFC. I think this is good. I see a lot of people, shitting on the card, but would you rather have Moreno pulled out too and then they scrap the fight and then it's fucking Marlon Vera versus David Martinez as the main event? No. All right. Even though bantamweights are, more fun than flyweights, in my opinion, that would have been shitty. So I like it. I think this is great. W matchmaking by the UFC finally for once. I'm not shitting on the UFC for once today, which is, crazy, but yeah, love the fight. Let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments. Let me know who you think will win this fight. Let me know if you like the decision to book Lonnie Kavanagh versus Brandon Moreno. Like I said, I love it. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.